back to the 49ers. Now, they've moved on from Deebo Samuel. Cam Inman of the Bay Area News Group had a great graphic that he put on Twitter last week from the game book, Super Bowl 58, the official statistical record created by the NFL of all regular season, postseason, and even preseason games. You know it as soon as you see it. It's got a look to it. It's got a feel to it. It's got all the stats, all the relevant stuff, play time percentages eventually added to it. It's got everything. It's the Bible for any given game. He had the front page of it with the starters for the 49ers in Super Bowl 58. 11 names of the 22 starters were crossed out. There it is. Now, one of them has become since uncrossed. I don't know how you remove red marker. I don't know what you use. In the old days, we'd put white out over it and then smell the white out bottle and get a little buzz, and then maybe stick the white out bottle in the pocket for future use later. But Kyle Juszczyk is back. So it's down to 10 because Kyle Juszczyk re-signed. But this disintegration of the 49ers has caused many are saying, as some would say, many are saying that the 49ers are going to stink now. And John Lynch is not one of the many. He recently addressed where the 49ers are, given that there's been a mass exodus out of San Francisco. We've got this thing called the draft, he said, and we've got a lot of picks. And I think the thing the fans should know is we have a plan, and we're going to execute that plan. And we're excited about the opportunity. The bottom line is you're always looking at years out. And we forecast it, and we've got some big things coming our way. And you have to clear the requisite room to be able to do that. You don't want to get to a point where you have to do things to keep your roster afloat. You want to have that flexibility. Last year, we had such a good roster. I think we doubled down and said, let's go for this thing. We kind of pushed all the chips in, knowing that at some point you're going to have that reset. And this was the year for the reset. So unlike the Cowboys, they did go all in last year, and that's the problem. And I think that the lesson that should be learned, because we've seen this time and again, when you have that great year and you get close, there's always a temptation to run it back. And sometimes what you need to do is a little research on all the other times that somebody in that exact same situation decided to run it back. And what happened? It's never as good the second time as it was the first time.
So, Mike, what's he talking about with this big thing coming? Is that just, I'm wondering if he is just kind of throwing that in there, or should we pull that out as the big thing that he said? We have some big things coming. Now, I'm looking at it contractually. Obviously, he's talking about Brock Purdy. You know, you gotta sign your quarterback to a big deal. That's one of them. But is that it? And he's the way he said it, it's kind of all jumbled together. It sounds like we've got a plan, we've got draft picks, and based on our forecasting, we got some exciting things that we think we'll be able to pull off. So just be patient with us. So other than Brock Purdy, I don't see what that is. Is he talking about something in this draft? Is he talking about 2026? Is he talking about free agency? I'm not really sure what that big thing is. I'm just looking at their roster and trying to imagine what it could be. Or do you think he was or he was just talking down to people when he said, you know, we got this thing called the draft. That's condescending, John. We know. We know there's a draft. We got this little thing. This is how we build our roster.
I always look at comments like that and ask myself, is the season ticket renewal window still open? Because that's part of the grift that all of these teams have to engage in. You've got to sufficiently motivate your fan base to want to buy their season tickets again and fill the stadium and buy jerseys and get excited. There's no reason for any 49ers fan to be excited about 2025. Now, look, we know how this goes. They could surprise everyone next year. The NFC West has a very favorable schedule. That's one of the things we've discussed this week. The rotation lines up, so they play 8 of their games against the teams of the AFC South and the NFC South, any of those 4 teams. If they stay healthy and things fall together, and flying under the radar is one of the ingredients. Nobody's going to expect anything from the 49ers. They no longer have the big target on their back. They didn't have to play games all the way until February last year. They were done week 18 with all the other non-playoff teams. There's a way this could fall just right, but I really do think a lot of this stuff is just noise because the key employees of a football operation have to engage in the kind of public flag waving that gets people to buy tickets. We were talking earlier about NBC Sports Now and popcorn and Lucky Charms and baseball, and the more you talk about something, the more the people who hear it become interested in it. So at a time when it feels like it's low tide for the 49ers, Lynch comes in and tries to convince them that high tide is coming. If high tide is good. I don't know what's good. Is low tide good? Is high tide good? I don't know. Whichever is good, that's what he thinks is coming.
So it's coming, and that's supposed to get people excited. But then you talk about a reset. And I know from a general manager's perspective, everybody understands that. But from a fan's perspective, do you get excited about that? Is that something that's going to make the fans say, oh, yeah, we get it? 2020, you needed to have a financial reset. You spent to the cap and your cash spending was up there, but now we got to step back and move on from some players who became our favorite players over the last 5 or 6 years. I just don't think fans get excited, anybody's fans, whether you've been successful or not. Nobody wants to hear about a reset, and they don't talk about that at the tailgate.
Well, and those comments from Lynch, Michael, come 2 weeks after Mike Silver of The Athletic, who had been with the San Francisco Chronicle for several years, so basically embedded with the 49ers, he reported the 49ers are undergoing an organizational reset, which will prompt them to be not as free spending because some of these contracts that they've given out to key players have been problematic. Now, one of the reasons they're problematic is they wait too damn long to give out the contracts. Deebo Samuel waited too long. Nick Bosa waited too long. Brandon Ayuk waited too long to the point where they were ready to trade him to the Steelers, and he shows up and says, I'll take that deal that's on the table, and Kyle Shanahan has to run upstairs to stop the trade. And in hindsight, I suspect everyone in the building, except Ayuk, wishes that Shanahan hadn't done that because it ended up being a bad deal for the 49ers. He didn't play well, and then he suffered a torn ACL, and now they've got 2 more years that are, as a practical matter, fully guaranteed for Ayuk as he recovers from the torn ACL. So I think at some point, because and I don't think this is jaded or cynical. I just think this is the product of following this league for 20 plus years and understanding how the owners really think. They act like they want to win the Super Bowl every year, but deep down, I don't think that most of them really feel that way, and you would be endlessly tormented. What's the point of being super rich if you're constantly pissed off because your football team is too crappy to win the Super Bowl? That is no way to live once you have won the game of life. When you have enough money that you can buy an aircraft carrier that you sleep on, not in a tiny little room either, when you have a super yacht, when you have houses in every country where you want to have houses, when you have more money than you could ever spend if you were on a 24/7 Brewster's Million bender, why are you allowing yourself to be upset that your football team can't win a Super Bowl? Be happy that it's making hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And I think they are. That's my point. I think they are. I think they're playing the role they have to play to keep the money coming.
But if the money's going to come, as you point out, the money's going to be there anyway. So whether they win the championship or not, the money's going to be there anyway. So you might as well win and make it a little bit more enjoyable. And I think that's the difference. Now, some guys are exactly the way you describe them. Hey, I'm not going to go all out. This product, it's the NFL could be, it could be any other product. It could be the paper industry. It could be cars, whatever it is. It could be loans. They just look at it as, this is the product I have. This is the industry I'm in. We're making money. Life is good. I think there are some owners who are like that. Fine. The lights are on. Everybody's getting paid. I'm getting paid. Good. And then there are some owners who say, yeah, there's got to be something else. I'm going to make money. I know I've always made money, but I need to have an organization that I want to be in the top 5. I want to be in the top 10 every year. Have an organization that players and coaches want to be a part of, and fans just can't stop talking about because we compete, not because we're solvent. Because everybody's solvent, right?
Yeah. You're kind of explaining Jerry Jones. They're in the most talked about teams all the time, regardless of whether or not they can even win a game. That's the ultimate victory. That's far more impressive than winning the Super Bowl in any one year. Keeping a team as the most relevant and most talked about in the NFL, even though they haven't done jack diddly shit in the past 30 years. Sorry, Manchester. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.